Greetings, Neuse Little Pod listeners. This is your host, Matt Gore, reminding you to please like, follow, subscribe, and share the podcast on your available podcast apps such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and any other podcast app you can think of. Share our episodes on Facebook and let us know what you think with a comment or review. Now, please enjoy the show. Good evening and welcome to Neuse Little Podcast. This is an audio program talking about the backstage antics and stories of running a small-town community theater on the banks of the Neuse River located in Smithfield, North Carolina. We lovingly refer to the old girl as the Hut. We hope you enjoy. Good evening and welcome to Neuse Little Podcast. I am your host, Matt Gore. We are coming to you live from the Hut this evening. And we have another one of our episodes that are in between. We are in between productions right now. We had The Outsiders in February. We are coming up on Till Death Do Us Part, and we will have more content for you on those shows. But right now we're going to do Off the Beaten Path and have a friend of the show back. And he is the artistic director at the Gilbert Theater in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and also my good friend, Larry Carlisle. Welcome back to the show, sir.
Thank you very much for having me again.
Thank you. The audience was clamoring to have you back.
Oh, were they now?
Could not get enough.
I wanted to ask you, like, how many people actually listen to that one? Do you know?
Anyway, so as we say on the podcast, Larry, you will be astounded to know there are tens and tens of listeners. Dozens, I say. We are dozens.
We usually get about 50.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
50. Hey, man, that's pretty good.
50, yeah.
50 downloads, and that's just from the ones that I can keep up with. The people watching on YouTube, too, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So we can't get like a final number, but it's 50 to 75-ish, something like that.
Hey, man, that's not bad.
No, not at all. Not at all. And we appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right, Larry. What can you tell us about your upcoming season at the Gilbert? I guess we should go with the next show. Tell me about that next show you got down the pike coming in April.
Oh, next up would be Othello.
Okay. So this is the Shakespeare play. And
As far as I know. If they changed the author, nobody told me.
This is directed by, what is his name, Monty Sutton?
Actually, as far as I know, Monty and I are going to be co-directing it together.
Okay, gotcha.
So I'm looking forward to that.
I love Othello. Interestingly enough, Iago in the original version of Othello has more lines than Hamlet does in Hamlet.
Really?
Yeah, and there's lots of cuts that go on with modern versions and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And the original, I always found that very interesting. So what is this version going to be like? Is this going to be what kind of adaptation is it going to be, I guess I should say?
Well, hopefully he's working on it because Monty's got credentials like as long as my arm. And I think he's going to be adapting it himself for us. So I'm not sure what kind of cuts he's going to make. We've only had the barest minimum of conversations about what we want to do. I mean, I have ideas of how I want it to look and be, and I'm hoping that they're not too dissimilar from his. Mm-hmm. And if they are, I'll just overrule him.
Othello is the classic story of a Moor he's a general, and he comes back and marries the beautiful Desdemona, and I would say his underling, sometimes his friend in certain adaptations, Iago, slowly but surely convinces him that his wife is being unfaithful, leading him to ultimately kill her at the very end. Spoiler for a
for a 600-year-old play.
Yeah.
If you haven't read it, seen it, heard of it, I don't know what you're doing listening to this.
It's very much a tragedy, and I'm particularly keen on the Orson Welles version. I think that's a very dynamic version that is very interesting and probably the best adaptation of Othello on film you can find. But why does this play? Why was it chosen? What are the ideas that interest you?
I mean, it's I always say it's my favorite Shakespeare show. And it is, and I think it's because it's really focused, I guess would be the best word for it. Like it's focused on, Othello, Iago, Desdemona, and, a couple other various little, side characters. But it's, to me, it just feels like his cleanest play. Like you don't have to figure things out, like what's happening. There's not people dressing up as women and women dressing up as men. There's not people with donkey heads. There's not and I know it's because it's one of the tragedies, but and it's not a comedy like all of his comedies that have all of those things all the time.
let's continue down the Shakespeare road. Now, I would argue, let's be careful here. We are in a theater. I would argue, I would say the Scottish play is like his most streamlined play, easy to follow. It's very hard to, but you know what? I say that and I realize they're both dealing manipulation to some extent.
They're both they're both kind of focused on one relationship. Mm-hmm. In the other one, it's him and the lady, and in mine, it's Othello and Desdemona.
Yeah,
and what he is told and what he thinks directly affects her, and what she is told and what she thinks directly affects him, and and I don't know. I really like Iago. I think he's a great character.
Why?
Because he's there. He's trying to do what he thinks is for the best, what he thinks is right, and he doesn't pay attention to how kind of not cool it is to do it that way.
He's supposed to be Othello's advisor almost,
right? And he uses that, and
that's that's all he has really is his manipulation skills.
Right. And one of the things that Monty had said to me, and this is something that I think would be cool if we could do it. He said that there are some productions or interpretations or whatever where Iago is the main character, where Iago is the protagonist, and
from like a Richard III perspective almost. Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I guess. I'm not that familiar with Richard III.
Meaning it's
the big long ones like that. They make me nauseous.
Meaning it's a play about a bad guy.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, like the one soliloquy that Iago has, and I can't remember it because I'm old and my brain is not really all that functional. But I don't know. I just like the way Iago talks. I like everything. I like everything about the character. I just think he's a very archetypal character that Shakespeare gave us and has been used ever since.
Here at NLT, we've only done one Shakespeare play ever in our almost 170 shows.
Wow.
Which
one?
That was Midsummer. Which my brother Justin was in and I was in. That was back in 2010, I want to say.
Oh wow!
And
and the main reason we were able to sell it is because it's such an ensemble piece, and it's funny, and there's lots of parts for little parts, and nobody has to learn a huge monologue, et cetera, et cetera.
I mean, it's well known and it's often performed, and the reason is because it's a crowd pleaser. I think
it's your introduction to Shakespeare. Play.
We should mention that NLT did participate in a festival where different theater groups read went to the Museum of Art in Raleigh, and it wasn't 24 hours because it would take longer than 24 hours, but they read every single Shakespeare play
for over 24 hours. So there was never, the stage was never dark.
It was never.
It was constant.
We were there
it was like 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I remember I was part of 2 theaters. I was obviously with NLT. We were reading Henry IV, and I was reading King John at 1 a.m. and then I had to wait until 5 a.m. to do Henry IV with NLT.
Could you take a nap in between there? Nothing?
I tried. I remember I remember showing up to Randy's house at like 4:45, hoping he was already ready because he was going to participate in that reading, and it was very interesting. It was interesting, and ever since then, I'm like, hey, this little theater could do Henry IV, because Henry IV, everybody kind of thinks it's like about a king, but Henry IV is like a minor character in this play. It's more about Falstaff and Hal and drunken ribaldry and how Hal has to take responsibilities.
In this space, I think there are a bunch of them that you could easily do, because you have a fair little amount of space here on your stage. It's I did a production of Merry Wives of Windsor, and that has Falstaff in it.
Indeed.
And I think that would probably be a good one for here.
I always thought we could do Much Ado About Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's your basic rom-com.
Yeah, romantic comedy.
It's really easy to follow.
I think you could probably do Hamlet here. I mean, it would just require some.
There ain't no way.
It would just require some creative staging.
I cannot see him. I could maybe make a Scottish play go one day. Like I remember Theater in the Park. Theater in the Park did the Scottish play as a post-apocalyptic Mad Max style play, and I always thought that was a great idea.
Yeah.
So if I ever delved into that, that would be the direction I go.
Yeah.
That's what I would try. Because for the longest time, I wanted to play the title character in the Scottish play that I can't say that some of our listeners might not know. And it just I got too fat and too old. So.
There's a new movie out.
Yeah.
With Denzel Washington and Frances McDermott. It looks really good.
Yeah.
It looks. The reason I like it so much is because it's directed by Joel Cohen, and it looks like.
Yep.
It looks like a lot like the Orson Welles version back in the day. I know I talk a lot about Orson Welles. I'm a big Orson Welles fan. But it looks like his version that was shot completely on a sound stage, and this version was shot completely on a sound stage.
Is it black and white?
It is.
Because I saw all of the previews and commercials and things that I've seen for it have black and white scenes. I wasn't sure if they just did that for the marketing or if it's actually in black and white.
Shot in black and white.
Sweet.
Yeah, it looks very interesting. I've seen almost every film adaptation of the Scottish play, and I'm very much looking forward to that one.
And it's a solo Coen brother.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Coen brothers usually work together as Joel and Ethan Coen, but this is the first movie they've ever done where it's just Joel Coen.
Just him.
And apparently there's no rift.
Yeah.
He just didn't want to do this. I think he wanted to write a book or something, you know? I thought that was interesting. Anyways, so what's like if you had carte blanche to do another Shakespeare play at the Gilbert next, what would you do? What would you do if you had budget wasn't an issue and season structure wasn't an issue?
I don't know. I really don't. You know, I've always wanted to see like a really cool, huge version of The Tempest. I think that'd be neat.
I saw that when I was a student at Western Carolina, and that was one of the ones I saw there, and they had like a rig for the ferry and stuff like that. But I never liked The Tempest so much. It's just not my favorite Shakespeare play. Why does it appeal to you?
Mostly just for the you saying budget not being a constraint and us being able to try some crazy stuff. Because like I said, I always like to challenge Vicky. Yeah.
Vicky is the technical director down there at the Gilbert.
She is amazing.
All right, you say you like to challenge Vicky, and you would. So what? Okay, let's take it out of the Shakespeare arena. What is something that you would like to do if budget wasn't a concern over there at the Gilbert?
I would like to be able to do, and I don't know of a specific show off the top of my head where it would happen, but I would love to be able to do entrances or exits from like under the stage. Like if we had if we had a pit.
The Children's Museum below is not going to like that so much.
No, they're not going to be happy about that when I just drill a hole through the floor. No,
watch out for that asbestos, kids.
Well, because I'm interested in doing stuff like, that maybe has never been tried there. Like, I would love to be able to do like Dracula or something like that.
You mentioned that last time.
I did. But I want to find a way to have him disappear or appear out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. And I keep trying to figure out how to do that. Like, one of the things that when I watched Hamilton finally, don't get me started.
Actually, I will get you started after you finish this question.
Okay. The big spinning circle in the middle of the stage in Hamilton, and I was like, "That's awesome."
We can teach you how to do that.
And I told Vicky, I was like, "I want you to make something that does that."
We have specs.
Do you?
Yeah, we do.
Oh yeah, it's like a big lazy Susan.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
so much easier than a turning platform.
Than a platform that turns. Yep. Yeah. How do you control it though, or how do you get it to spin?
Oh, we just we ended up like putting a bar and just pushing.
Oh, okay.
So we just had it backstage where somebody just moved it, or stagehands.
It was most recently used in witness for the prosecution.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
We had 3 of them in the witness.
That's awesome. No, that's awesome. Yeah. No, I'd love to take a look at those. That'd be super cool.
Yeah, and it's
See, but the only thing is because did you guys, was it standing up on stage? Like, did it make the stage like 2 feet taller?
It's only as tall as your casters.
Oh.
Because you have to use not turning casters. You want
like stationary
casters, and you want them angled so that they
make
they
roll.
A big circle.
Yeah.
And you do it in sort of a spider pattern or whatever you want to do, and then you have a pivot point, and you put the big disc that you make on top of it. So, and you have to do, because we did like a 16-footer, because it was like one was like as big as the stage depth was, and so you can't find a piece of plywood that big, so we had to sandwich.
Yeah. And
so it's like that, but
yeah.
I think we drilled directly to our stage because we were able to do that here.
Yeah, and we can too.
Yeah.
But the only thing is like I wouldn't want people to know that it was a thing.
Yeah, we had to
turns.
build.
Yeah,
we had
and
to
so
build
we would have to build like platforms all around it.
We had to fill in.
Fill it in and hold it in to make it all one level.
Yeah, we did that for witness.
Yeah,
so.
that's exactly the kind of thing that I would want to do.
Oh, yeah.
For I have no real reason. I just want to see if Vicky can do it, and then what we can do with it.
No, if you can pull it off, it'll open up your avenues for other plays that have multiple sets.
Yeah,
exactly. Because in witness for the prosecution, you go from the lawyer's office to the courtroom, back to the lawyer's office to the courtroom.
Oh yeah.
And so they both need to be pretty massive.
So you can just change out that one.
And so we just turned them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we had 3. And we had a little one in the middle, and then a giant one on this side, and a slightly smaller one over here. And we had the lawyer's office on one side and the courtroom on the other, and we just flipped them.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah. It worked out really, really well because it was super fast, and you can actually. We always had issues with turning platforms because the wheels want to come off or bend and tear and all this sort of stuff. And you're down. You have a flat tire, you can't do anything. But we turned the entire cast of Death of a Salesman for curtain call.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Like they were in. It's a nice little.
And it doesn't take a lot of power to turn it.
No,
not really.
It's not like the wheel in Conan.
No. One person could do it, but 2 people could do it easily. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we had 2 people on the big one.
Why did you disparage Hamilton out of the most beloved theatrical event of our time? How dare you, sir? No. I'm interested.
It's really just kind of a personal thing. The large retail bookseller that I used to be employed with, I won't say their name on here, but it rhymes with Farnes and Hobel.
All right. So Borders, I got you.
Exactly. Walden Books. Yeah.
Books a Million.
Books a Million. Gotcha.
When Hamilton came out, or when it first started getting real popular, when was that? What was that, like 2016?
Yes, around there, yes.
Somewhere around there. I was working in the bookstore, and they had CDs that we had to play over the like intercom stereo speaker system, and they would play the Hamilton soundtrack. And so I heard it 900 million times.
There are people out there going, like, what's wrong with that?
Yeah. And, well, okay, to those people I would say, get a retail job and then listen to the soundtrack 900 million times in a row.
I worked at Blockbuster and we had a video.
Yeah, exactly, that ran on a loop. Exactly.
What was your most hated Blockbuster video loop?
Oh, no. What was great was if it broke, we could play whatever we wanted to,
That's right.
as long as it was G-rated.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so every night for
It would
closing,
break constantly.
every night for closing, when I closed, we had Willy Wonka Run. And so we always wrapped up right around Veruca Salt's song.
Oh, yeah, nice. Like, I mean, so it was that, and then I just had a real kind of contrary reaction to it because every theater person that I knew just wouldn't stop raving about it, and people were talking about how great it was. And a lot of times, if too many people tell me how great something is, I say, I don't want to see it.
That happened to me with Squid Game.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm the only one that's not going to watch it now.
I haven't watched it either. Yeah. Not because I don't want to, but I'm like, anything, like I have to have a bit of an interest in it to begin with if I'm going to be one of those people.
I feel like I'm amongst my people.
Yeah, is that how you are?
I'm the world's worst for like digging my feet in. You're like, you got to see it.
I know.
I don't really want to now. Thanks.
I'm like Kramer in the AIDS Walk episode. He's like, you have to wear the ribbon. I have to wear the ribbon? Yes. That's why I don't want to.
Yeah. And so you got that kind of contrarian opinion.
Yeah, and that's basically all it is. Because I did watch it finally. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was the pandemic, so I watched it on Disney Plus. Right. And like, is it good? I mean, yeah, it's fine. It was fine.
Oh, I see our list. We're down to 14 listeners, Larry. I can just see us dropping.
Oh no, do you have a real-time count? Oh, crap.
My favorite part about Hamilton is people are like, we should do it. It's like,
no. Are you insane?
That's when people say, like, we should do Wicked. Like, sure.
Yeah, no.
Do you know what that would, that we don't have? Look around.
Yeah.
Look around.
Look around at our normal shows. Who in this crowd looks like they could sing Hamilton?
Yeah, exactly. And I have nothing against the production values, the artistry, the choreography, all of it, the set design. It's a gorgeous show, and it's I liked the idea of the casting where Benjamin Franklin is played by a black guy.
You mean Thomas Jefferson?
Who did I say?
Benjamin Franklin too.
Is Benjamin Franklin in this?
No, not Benjamin Franklin. George Washington.
George Washington is a black man. Thomas Jefferson.
It's Thomas. Okay,
Thomas Jefferson might be my favorite.
Thomas Jefferson's my favorite song. What did I miss?
Yeah, because Thomas Jefferson. That's right. Because he was David
Diggs.
He was David Diggs.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And he's amazing. And but like.
He's captivating on the stage. It's just that when you watch videos of him, he's just like, he's so energetic. He's just so happy to be there.
Yeah, and I don't know. So I don't know. So
Okay, what is the last theatrical thing you saw, event that you saw that really blew your socks off? What's something that you've seen in your life? I'm just like, that is what I want to do.
Like, how far back are we going?
Anytime, because I want to know what inspires Larry, because all the obvious things don't. So we got to go down to the weirder alley.
I tell you, one of the things that has impacted the kind of things that I think about and what the kind of stuff I want to do was, and this was so long ago, way back in the day of 1994.
Wow.
Kids, 1994.
OJ's driving in his Bronco.
There was no internet. There was no Twitter. There was no Facebook.
Oh, that sounds freaking amazing.
It was
a simpler time.
It really was. Simpler time.
We turned our own butter.
Yes.
Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock charmed us in Speed.
That's exactly right.
Nobody wanted to be the smartest asshole on the internet all the time.
Yes.
Yep.
It's taking me back.
Yeah, the halcyon days. I went on a trip when I was in high school. We went to New York City.
New York?
Bunch of little West Virginia bumpkins went on up to New York City. Woo! Anyway, sorry. I don't mean to make fun of my West Virginia brethren.
Down to 11 listeners.
Yeah, I know, right? My goal is to get you down to just one.
We were at -4 listeners.
People have demanded a refund.
Okay, so what happened in New York?
But it was my theater. It was the theater group. It was the theater class. We all got to go. And one year we went and saw Guys and Dolls, Miss Saigon.
Overrated.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it was terrible. Like, I didn't like it at all. But then again, I was like a 16-year-old boy. So, like, Miss Saigon ain't really doing it for me.
As a 20-something-year-old girl, it's still overrated.
I have seen Miss
exactly.
Saigon. It's fine.
It's fine. But the part where the helicopter comes
Yeah.
down, that part is insane.
Yeah.
It
I
was
also
pretty
believe
cool.
Phantom of the Opera is completely overrated.
Oh, yeah. We saw that, too.
Tamara just died a little inside. She's a fanatic.
I hate to tell you.
It stinks.
And
My thing is, I was okay. All right, I got a controversial opinion.
But I was gonna say, but the show that sticks out the most for me that I still remember was Tommy. We went to see Tommy.
Steven would be your bestest friend right now. Tommy is about the only musical Steven will sit through. And
What
it's not
the hell is Tommy?
The Who.
Ah, okay, so it's a Hugh musical.
It's a Tommy. It's by the Who, and it's an opera. It's all sung.
It is a rock. Yeah, it is a
rock
rock opera. The first, I think. Well, maybe not the first, but
It's one of the very first. Yeah.
But the opening scene of it, we were in the balcony, and a dude literally parachuted down onto the stage. And I can't remember if he was a World War II soldier. I can't remember which side. But then he pulls out his machine gun and starts firing it, and it's blanks, but it's going off in the theater. Like, and I was like,
It's this war hero ends up. They think he's MIA or something, and then he ends up. So the wife ends up with another guy, and he comes home, and in a fit of jealousy, he kills the guy. And the son sees this happen, and they tell him, you didn't see anything, you didn't hear anything, you can't tell anybody anything. So he becomes blind, deaf, and mute.
Yeah.
And the whole premise of this, and he gets there's some creepy uncle who comes in.
oh yeah, there's
and
all kinds of
some
weird stuff.
inappropriate
Like it's
touching,
weird.
It is wild. And then he ends up going to an opium den.
But I mean, do you know?
Crazy.
They took kids to see this?
Pinball Wizard comes from that.
Yeah, I was gonna say you've heard the song
Yes.
Pinball Wizard,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's from.
And
And also,
he becomes this
Tommy,
great,
Can You See Me? And
he
Behind
becomes-
Blue Eyes too, I think, right?
Yeah.
Or no?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
And but he becomes this. He ends up getting his senses back, and he becomes this Jesus-like character or something.
Messiah-like character.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's wild.
It's-
It's a good acid trip.
I was about to say it sounds like it was written in the 70s.
Oh, it was.
I have a controversial Andrew Lloyd Webber opinion.
Oh, okay.
Tamara hates this whenever I bring it up, and I was just when she was playing the music for me, specifically the music of the night, and I was just like, he ripped this off, right? And she's like, "What?" I was like, "Andrew Lloyd Webber's full of shit, man. This is totally." This is totally ripped off of School Days. And she's like, what? I was like, the song School. I was like, okay, here's music of the night. Dun, 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 dun. Here's the song School Days. Here's how it goes. School days, they were golden rule days. I'm like, a boy's full of shit.
And then she was like, "That's it. I want a divorce."
I was like, we haven't even gotten married yet.
And
What are you
she's like,
talking about?
Exactly. We're going to sign the marriage papers and the divorce papers on the same day.
Yep.
I'm going to make it unique.
No, I have very little use for him in general. So, what was I gonna do? I was gonna look it up, make sure I was not talking out of my ass.
We do need a fact checker on this show.
Yeah.
It's Andrew Lloyd Webber who did Cats.
Yes.
Yeah.
I knew that.
I was like, well,
Because he said he hated the adaptation so much he went out and bought a dog.
I went to see Cats because I thought as a musical theater lover I should see Cats.
Okay.
And I went to see Cats, and I walked down the theater going, Okay, I'm never listening to that ever again.
Yeah.
That's the most worthless piece of musical theater I've ever
You
sat
saw
through.
the most recent adaptation.
No, I saw it in the theater.
Oh, so you saw the Broadway
I saw
musical in the theater.
Well,
Okay.
it was on tour, but yes.
Gotcha.
It was uncomfortable because they were in the aisles and stuff, and she insisted on making eye contact with me. I was like, "Ugh." I know, you're like, I can't look away because she's intentionally looking at me.
And she's just looking at the playbill.
I would love to go to a show of Cats and have like a spray bottle and a newspaper.
No.
And if they're in the aisles, like just be like, nope.
You see, back in 1994, you might have been able to do that, and that would have been funny. Now, you would be tackled by a SWAT team.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But I think it'd be worth it. It'd be a good story.
Oh my god, it's just it's. I'm like, I don't know how this was the longest running musical on Broadway. This is ridiculous. So.
People like that memory song, I guess.
Yeah, they do.
It's the only really rememberable song in the whole thing.
Isn't To Dream the Impossible
No,
Dream?
that's from
what is that?
Man of La Mancha.
Oh, okay,
Don
that's what it
Quixote.
is. Yeah,
Now, Man of La Mancha, I can get on board with.
yeah.
Man of La Mancha, you know what it's about, right? It's like the play within a play.
Yeah, I saw CFRT did it years ago.
Yeah, he's thrown into prison.
Yeah, he's thrown into a prison.
Prison, yeah.
Yeah, debtor's prison.
Debtor's
right?
prison. That's
Yeah.
the word I was looking for. And
he starts telling the story.
they're gonna beat the crap out of him and steal his stuff, and he convinces them to let him entertain them instead.
Yeah,
So he pulls
yeah,
all
yeah.
of his stuff out, and they all become characters in the play.
Right.
And he tells the story of Don Quixote.
Yeah, you can do that here.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
we have.
done it.
So there's the poster right there on the wall.
Whoops.
Actually, I think we did it at the elementary school or something. But yeah, we did that years ago, before my time.
All right. Well, we only have a few more minutes here, but I wanted to wrap up with this. This is speaking of musicals, this is one I wanted to do here. But you guys,
And you totally could.
well, explain to us why. Now, explain. I've heard a lot about this. Whenever I'm at the Gilbert, when y'all talk about past shows, this show
Yeah.
inevitably always comes up.
Yeah.
And that is Evil Dead the musical. Tell us about that.
It was before I became artistic director. I want to say it was like 2018. Yeah, it would have had to been either 2017 or 2018. And I co-directed it with the then artistic director of the Gilbert. His name was Matthew as well. And if you've ever seen the Evil Dead trilogy, the original Evil Dead movies, directed and written by Sam Raimi and Robert Tappert, I think, and maybe one of Sam Raimi's brothers. But Evil Dead the musical sort of tries and kinds of puts them all together. Not quite so much Army of Darkness until the very end. But anyway, the story concerns Ash and three of his friends. One of them is his girlfriend. And then there's like a jock guy. And then there's a ditzy cheerleader type. And then there's somebody's sister who is a drag. And they go to a cabin in the woods, and they accidentally wake up demons. But the musical is played so campy and so fourth wall breaking and like purposefully ridiculous. We had a blood cannon. We had a table where the actress Linda, you know her, stuck her head up through it and became a disembodied head, while another person who was wearing the same kind of clothes that she was, but was clearly a man, was running around as her headless body, chasing people. There's like a deer head on the wall that comes to life and sings and talks. It's utterly ridiculous and also hilarious. It's probably one of my favorite shows that I've ever been involved in. And doing it here, you guys have a larger stage than we do. And you would be able to utilize that area back there for the basement, unlike what we had to do. Because you know how our stage is raised, and we don't have anything. We had to build on the stage like a giant, it looked almost like a giant chest, like a giant box, and it opened up, and it was the entrance to the cellar. And like people had to go down in there and then basically like crawl out into that little hallway behind the So, and we had to do some real creative things for
I couldn't have done that, Larry.
There's a couple of scenes, yeah.
We're gonna have a Winnie the Pooh situation on our hands.
There were a couple of scenes that take place like in the woods. You know, the first song is them in a car singing the first song, and you know we don't have any room for anything like that, so we literally had the 4 or the 5 leads, 2 of them in front and the other 3 in the back, and everybody was holding one wheel, and the person who was the driver was holding a steering wheel, and they were just walking down the middle aisle singing the song, pretending that they were in a car. Like that's the kind of stuff that we did, and it sounds terrible, but when you see 4 grown-ups doing it and really like committing, it's hilarious.
Yeah, indeed.
I love camp when they sell it, when they like really sell it.
Yeah, no, and it's a really funny show. The only thing is it's full of, you know, bad language, sexual innuendo, and you know that kind of sexual kind of language, and violence and blood.
So that's the reason why I want to do Heathers.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if your audiences are into that because that kind of stuff.
It would be different than our normal audience, probably.
Yeah. We haven't done many violent shows. I mean, but we've tried all different types. I mean, I think it could work, but the audience would just have to buy into it.
Yeah, and but I think
the less they know, the better going in.
Yeah, I really think with this space, you could really do it. I think.
Well, I want to give it a shot one day. One of these days.
One of these days.
One of these days.
One of these days.
All right, Larry. We're gonna put a pin in it right there, and
Okey-doke.
I really thank you for coming by and talking to us. You know,
Sure.
just sitting here and gabbing for a bit.
I hope I didn't sound stupid.
Well, if it's as many times as I've sound stupid on this podcast, so.
Welcome to the club.
Welcome, indeed.
But I mean, in all honesty, it's really only going to be 9 new people that think I'm stupid.
Right. Because we've lost so many.
We've lost so many.
Yeah,
I've lost you so many listeners.
So, if you've hung in to the last of this podcast, congratulations. We'll send you your T-shirt in the mail.
We're sorry for offending all the Hamilton
Cats
people.
I'm not.
We had a whole 10-minute segment where we bashed Hamilton on a theater podcast. That's some shit you won't hear in Raleigh, I can tell you that.
But it's like anything where everybody thinks it's the most spectacular thing ever made. Your first immediate thought is, really? You think that's the best thing that's ever been on the stage?
I would like to say, for the record, I enjoy Hamilton the musical. It has some catchy songs, and I love history, and it is it crams a hell of a lot of history into 2.5 hours, and I found that to be particularly amazing. Like they did this guy's entire life in minute detail in 2.5 hours.
I liked the musical better than I liked trying to get slogged through that the biography of
by Ron Chernow.
Yeah, I own it at home. I have 2 copies somehow. I'm not even really sure how.
I love Ron Chernow.
But
this one is to keep, and then this one is to read.
it is slogging through because like the whole time I'm like I read it. I picked it up because of Hamilton the musical, and I'm reading it going, I don't know how Lin-Manuel got through this.
It's fascinating. Come on. The Reynolds pamphlet alone could be a play unto itself. Anyways,
I haven't even got that far. It's like,
anyways,
I'm not a big nonfiction fan, so
I can't believe I'm sitting at the table with 2 presidents of 2 theaters, and I like Hamilton the most.
I like it. I really do, but I'm over it. I think that's
I can
the
understand
point.
that.
I mean, because
And
there's only so much saturation before you're like, I'm out.
I saw an article the other day that the current generation thinks it's, as the youngins say, cringe now. And I'm just like, oh.
Really? Hamilton?
Yeah, I was like, ooh, is it getting outdated?
Oh, thank God.
No, it's not woke enough anymore.
Yeah.
Hamilton. All right, I'm not even going down that road. Thank you for listening to Neuse Little Podcast, and we'll see you later. That's good. That's a good.
Hamilton is not ours.
Credits for the show. Your host and creator is Matt Gore. That's me. My producer and editor is Mita Toole.
That's me.
Music is by Cody Walker. Please go look up Cody on Cody Walker Music on YouTube, and he's also on Cody Walker Music on Facebook as well. He's local, so and he's got a couple of albums out. Easy listening, John Denver type of guitar voice, that Cody Walker. All right, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.